Welcome back, guys. We are continuing on with these 1v1 replays, and during this battle things went quite well, and I've decided that I've come up with a decent strategy. So what I'm going to do is play two replays back to back. The second replay is going to be an attempt at copying the strategy that I stumbled across in this. So it was just dumb luck, really, that it worked so well. But copying it was a little bit tricky, because obviously you start with different units and different techs and things like that. So I thought there's no point in me uploading two different videos where I'm basically playing the same tactics in both videos. So I'm going to do them back to back. So I'll start off with Mustangs, Marksman and Giant Specialist. So I'm continuing down the Giant Specialist path. I'm really enjoying using it, so basically every time I see it I take it no matter what units I get with it. The opponent is starting with Arc Lights and Steel Balls. Oh sorry, Crawlers and Steel Balls, and then the added Arc Lights in. So I didn't spend any supply in that first round, because I wanted it to roll over and then I could decide how best to spend it in the second round. The first round isn't really important, so sometimes it's better to see how the enemy are placing their units before you place your own. Now this isn't part of the strategy, that's just something I decided to do in this battle. So the opponent is going Heavy Armor Specialist, so they've got extra HP on their units. So he goes Heavy Arc Light, which I've never really been a fan of, but you'll see in this battle it works extremely well at using it as a tanky unit. I found it incredibly tough to deal with. I decided to go for Extended Range Phoenix, and the reason was down to supply. Now I can't remember what I was doing with the supplies. Oh, sorry, I did spend supplies in that first turn. I bought 2 Crawlers. My bad. So yeah, I wanted to bring in 2 units, so I didn't want to go for the nano item, the nano repair, because I wouldn't have had enough supply to get 2 units. But you'll see that my decision to bring in double Mustangs was a terrible one, because the arc lights just munched them all up for dinner. So I didn't even manage to kill the Crawlers. That was why I went double Mustangs, was to deal with the Crawlers, but I just got stuck shooting at Steel Balls. And so obviously things are going terribly at the moment for me. I've gone for Supply Specialist, and so has he. Now I need to come up with a plan, and drastically soon, before I lose the battle. So clearly this double Mustangs is not helping. I need something else to deal with the Crawlers. Well, to deal with everything, to be honest with you. So I decided to bring in some phoenixes to try and take out them really tanky arclights, because it's them that are killing all my units basically. If I can kill the arclights, then I'll have a much easier time dealing with everything else. So that was my first attempt at countering. I had enough supply left over to buy this increased attack. I felt like I needed it against these arclights. You'll see here how little damage that you do to them. It's absolutely crazy. I never realised just how good the increased HP was on the arclights, but yeah, very, very painful. So I'm going to win this round simply for the fact that he hasn't got any anti-air, but based on how the situation is at the moment, he's got tons of units left. I've just got 4 Phoenix. If he brings in anti-air on the next round, I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered. I'm just going to speed up the time because this is ridiculous sitting waiting for a team with no anti-air to just sit there getting shot. They really need to speed this up in the game when one team's not got any anti-air and the other one's got air units. So you can see even in ×2 it's taking forever. Okay. Oh, it's so annoying, that is. Okay, so I decided to go for the amplifying court because I need to get a giant out. The only hope that I've got here is trying to melt them with a Vulcan. It's the only thing that I can think of that can deal with what they're throwing at me. Now obviously the steel balls can easily kill a Vulcan, but as long as I can keep some units in front of him, then he should have enough time to deal with the crawlers, and he can also kill the steel balls quite easily as long as he's not getting shot. So although these Mustangs did terribly for me, they are going to come in useful at protecting the Vulcan. So I decided to put a rocket down, thinking that I might be able to catch the crawlers, but unfortunately I didn't. But as you can see, the flames are melting the steel balls. So when the steel ball locks onto the Vulcan, obviously things go badly for me. But as long as they're distracted, then I just about have enough time to kill them fairly quickly. So we managed to win the round, what looked like an almost impossible task. I managed to pull it out of the bag. Now I did have to burn some emergency supply to field 2 Vulcans, so I'm going to be down 300 on this next turn. But we've stabilised, that's the main thing. So I decided to go for an incendiary bomb, just to try and keep the pressure on them, or keep the pressure off me more to the point. And he's also gone for an incendiary bomb, which is what I expected he'd do. So I've put mine here to try and catch the crawlers mainly, but also to try and time it so the arclights are standing in. I shield up because I'm fully expecting an incendiary bomb in return. And he doesn't shield up, so he's obviously pretty confident. He doesn't feel like he needs to shield up to win. And I'm bringing in an Overlord. This is the good thing about Giant Specialist, is you don't have to pay to unlock the Giants, so you can actually field a variety of giants quite easily. So I've burnt the emergency supply again, just so I can level up the 2 snipers and the phoenix. So I don't know whether it was worth it, but I felt like it was worth leveling them up so they can start to increase the level onto the next level. And I just about placed this shield perfectly. So I just about managed to cover everybody. He hasn't covered anybody. So all of his units are melting in the fire, including the arc lights. And this side is going surprisingly well as well, even without the incendiary bomb. So the Vulcan's still alive. The Overlord did a great job at supporting. Now, one thing I will point out, the Overlord... Well, I'll just go through this first. So let's see. Giant hunters on here, so you'd assume that they would go for it, which they have done. So we need to protect our giants, basically. Now I'm deciding whether to go for Heavy Hacker because I love the unit, but it's a terrible decision. So I decided to go for the Heavy Armor. It's very, very expensive, but it might be the difference between life and death. And I'm bringing in another Overlord on this side. I've leveled up this Vulcan on that side. So what I was going to say, this Overload or Overlord artillery does not increase in range when you buy this range upgrade. So basically, if you buy Overlord artillery and then buy the range upgrade, you never shoot when you're at maximum range. You only shoot if a unit comes inside your maximum range. So it's a terrible ability to combine them two. So what I've started doing is putting this launcher Overlord on, which doubles your attack speed but reduces your range. That way you're basically getting the same as using the Overlord artillery. It's obviously twice as expensive doing that. Oh no, sorry, it's not twice as expensive. You just lose out on a little bit of range. So, things are looking pretty decent. We've almost lost the Vulcan on this side, but things have gone really, really well for us. We've lost the Overlord as well, so this side did fall, but we're alive on this side. And we've got a full health Overlord, and we managed to not lose one of our phoenixes. And there we go. So that is the strat basically. Vulcan in front of an Overlord, and everything else is interchangeable really. You need some small units just to cover for the Vulcan, so it doesn't really matter what you use. You could use Fangs and just have them in front, or you can use Crawlers and Mustangs. Now the good thing with Mustangs is obviously they can cover the flanks as well. The Snipers and the Phoenixes were just additional units, so they weren't essential for the victory. But the Phoenix, they actually did do really well, especially this Phoenix. So I do think that adding the Phoenix in is a good choice. I suppose the Marksmans are as well, so either Marksman or Phoenix would work well in this. But the main thing is having these units here to cover for the Overlord and the Vulcan. So that is the strat basically. So I'll load up the next battle. So this time, luckily I got Crawler and Phoenix, so that's a great start for me. I mean, anything would have done really, because you can just change your positioning based on the units that you start with. But you'll see in this battle that the opponent plays completely differently to my previous opponent, and the same strat does really well again. So it's a much closer fight, but the fact that it still works quite well is a good sign, because you want it to be able to work against multiple enemy compositions. So I can't really decide what to do with this crawler, this third crawler. So I'll stick him at the back, and then I decide I want to buy a Phoenix, and obviously you want your Phoenix behind the crawler, so the Phoenix don't get shot first. So I decide to put them in the middle here, just to see how that works out. And I've put the Phoenix just to the right of the crawlers this time, because I want them on the outside so there's less chance of being targeted. And there's also more chance of us shooting the tower if you're on the outside. The only problem is you're susceptible to being hit from the flank. But I've left enough space to be able to fit another unit in there if I need to. So they've gone heavy on the left. They've got crawlers, Mustangs. They brought in 2 snipers, and they are heavy armor specialist again. So same as the last guy, heavy armor specialist. Seems to be a popular pick, unless it's just simply down to the units that are with it. So once again, same as in the last battle, we're getting steamrolled at the beginning. But we've taken the tower out, which has given us the opportunity to take out the snipers, so that's good. But we've lost our tower now, so we're going to lose our Phoenixes, and then we're going to lose our crawlers. So, just like in the last battle, it's a rough start going for the giant specialist. It's one that you have to just accept that you're not going to do very well in the beginning, and just trust that you'll survive long enough for the strategy to develop, basically. So there's deployment specialist on here, and I love that, but because we're going for giants, you just simply don't utilize it, and you need all the supply you can get at the beginning. So I decided to take the free missile. Now the missile's obviously good in this situation, because all of their units are clumped together. Unfortunately, I place it a little bit too far forward, because I don't really use the missile much, so I'm not used to how fast it comes in. So unfortunately, I place it too far forward of the Mustangs, and I don't actually hit them. But I do take out the snipers. So, here comes the strategy. We're bringing in our Vulcan. So let's see how this goes. I decided to bring him just a little bit further back, but it's difficult to decide where to put them, because obviously the opponent can put units right at the front. You don't want your Vulcan being targeted. But the Vulcan's doing a great job of burning everything. As you can see on this side, we're just getting melted. Crawlers are doing a good job at screening for the Phoenixes. So now, things are much better for us, because we've got a Vulcan that can deal with these Mustangs, and we've got Phoenixes that can deal with the sniper. So it's all about timing now with this tower. Luckily we get a shot in before the tower goes down, and so we don't lose our phoenixes to the sniper, so that was lucky. And now we will lose this tower, but the Vulcan's going to handle these Mustangs, even with the tower taken down. He doesn't do loads of damage, but he's got a lot of health, so he's not going to die. That's the main thing. So next we have the senior manufacturing specialist, which is exactly what I need, decreasing the recruitment cost of giants. Now I'm only actually going to be building 3 more giants, so it's only going to save me 100, but there's a chance that the battle might go on for longer and I might end up building some more here. So it's not a massive boost, but if the battle goes on for a long time, it will keep saving me more and more. So we've got a Vulcan on both sides now, and we've got crawlers over here to help cover for this Vulcan. So let's see how this one gets on. So he's instantly decided to go for a melting point because of my Vulcan. So this is something that the other person didn't do because he had steel balls, which do the same thing as what a melting point does. But the melting point has got much bigger range than the steel balls have. So the melting point is deadly to giants, basically. So we need to make sure that we've got units in front of our Vulcan. And here come the second squad of crawlers, which are going to help distract the melting point. Here come the third squad of crawlers. So we've got a nice timing of crawlers coming in one after another, and it distracts the melting point, and all he did was shoot crawlers, which is perfect for us. So hopefully they're going to make the same mistake and bring in a melting point and put it in the same place on this side. So we've got subsidized Mustangs here. Now these would come in incredibly handy for us, mainly for covering the flank, but also once the crawlers die, we'll have Mustangs covering the giants as well. So these Mustangs will come in really handy for us. Now he's also gone for more Mustangs, it looks like. Maybe not. So it looks like I'm struggling to decide what to do. Or did I bring phoenixes in this turn? I'm not sure. Can't remember if I had them in. Oh, here we go. I'm buying an Overlord. So we're continuing with the strategy from the previous battle. Vulcan in front of an Overlord. So this side is a bit bare. It needs some crawler support. So I brought in some crawlers. Popped them down here. So we've got a nice stream of crawlers coming into the battle. Now you can put them in a line if you want, rather than sideways. So it's easier to judge them if they're in a line, but that'll work out quite nicely. Oh, the opponent has used an ability, a really expensive ability here. So we are going to lose this side because all of our small units have been wiped out. So now the melting point's able to lock onto our giants. Well, he locked onto the Vulcan anyway. We had some crawlers coming to the rescue, but it does not look like it's enough. Melting point has survived with a fraction of health. So we've taken down the tower. It's going to be a very close fight here because he's going to take down my tower, sorry, not tire. Now we are heading towards their tower, but it looks like we might get intercepted. Yep. Yep, we're going to get intercepted here. So he's got a sniper that's dealing with my air units. I only managed to get one shot off, and down goes the Phoenix as well. So sadly, things didn't go too well there. We were very close to winning that, but we got intercepted. But the good thing is they had to use a really expensive ability to win that, which is very promising for us. It means that without that expensive ability, he's not going to win this next round unless he changes his tactics. So he's bringing in more melting points. Where's he putting it? So he's put it further back this time. So we'll see how that pans out for him. So I'm going for Stormcallers. Now, the reason that I've decided to go for Stormcallers is because I want to use the EMP explosion on them to disable his life leech. So I don't know whether I can afford to buy it in this turn. I should be able to, because I don't think I've spent my money on anything else. So we'll have a look, see if I buy it on this turn or not. But that is the reason that I've brought in the Stormcallers. Interesting. I must have spent the cash on upgrading, I'm not sure. Unless I bought an ability of some sort. No, can't see any abilities. So the Stormcallers are helping out, but the whole point of buying them was for the EMP blast that it's going to provide for us. Because if I can shut down the life leech on the melting point, then we should be able to deal with him. See, when he burnt the Vulcan then, so we managed to kill him even with life leech, but when he killed the Vulcan he gained about 20% health. So it's not a massive amount, but it'll make a difference once we get this EMP blast. So next up, I see electromagnetic impact, which is going to do the same thing, so I think about buying that. Obviously intensive training's great for giants, but the battle's almost over. He's only got 32 health. An Ion Blast would obviously make short work of the giants, so I can't quite decide which of these two I want to go for. Ion Blast is the correct decision, probably, but I really wanted to shut down his life leech, and also I was worried that he was going to put shields up, and if he put shields up, my Vulcan might not be able to kill all of the small units. So I think I probably placed it a little bit too far back, but that was the point of getting this ability, was to knock down any shields that they might put up. Really, I should have put it here rather than here. But yeah, I've got the electromagnetic explosion on the Stormcallers now. I've got range and the launcher overlord, or overload. Don't actually know which one it is. I'd imagine it's overlord. But he has brought in some distraction crawlers over here, which is going to disturb my formation. This is the whole point of flanking, really. Not really to succeed in the flank itself, but to mess up the opponent's battle formation. So he's managed to pull my small units away from the Vulcan, which means that he was able to target him. Looks like things are going well on the right hand side, but luckily, because we've got this ranged upgrade, we're not getting targeted by the melting point. Trying to click on this Phoenix. So yeah, the Phoenix had 120 and the Overlord had 130. So as long as you don't upgrade the range on the Phoenix, then it will go in front of the Overlord when you have these two abilities, and the Overlord will shoot twice as fast. So it's an expensive setup, but going for this means that you're going to shoot giants twice as fast, and your Phoenixes are going to provide cover for them as well. So if you get Quantum Reassembly on the Phoenixes and Energy Shield, then that would be a really good combination. There's also another ability that I haven't got equipped at the moment, because I usually use them as long range snipers, but if I'm using it to cover Overlords, then there's another ability which makes the Phoenixes shoot twice as fast with reduced range, so I could try and put that on instead, maybe instead of this Elite Marksman. But yeah, the strategy worked twice against two completely different enemy compositions, so that's promising. So I'm going to keep playing this strategy. I won't upload any more replays of it, because obviously it'll be boring just watching the same thing over and over again. But I'll keep playing this strategy, see if I come up against someone who knows how to counter it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Back-to-back battles and 2 good victories. So cheers for watching, take care, and I shall see you in the next one.